The softball team had a busy weekend. We'll have the highlights from Saturday's doubleheader. Field hockey player Stembele Chikore stops in to talk with our Tucker Moore. And the men's soccer team tries its luck against a national championship team. We've got the story. All this and the latest scores coming up on Wolves Weekly. From the Langford Center studios at Newberry College, this is Wolves Weekly. I'm Paul C. Fisher. It's been a mixed season for the Newberry College softball team. Over the last month, although the Wolves have had some wins, they've remained below the 500 mark thus far. On Saturday, they came into the Smith Road complex 10-17 on the season as they faced a doubleheader against the conference rivals of Mars Hill. Our team was there, and here is that report.
Newberry softball hosted the Mars Hill Lions in a doubleheader. The Wolves walked away with 2 wins. Lindsey Foster started on the mound in Game 1 and pitched a stellar 6 innings. Early in the first inning, Leah Grimes slammed a pitch into center field for an early home run for the Lions. Following that, both teams remained scoreless until the Wolves pulled ahead with scores by Brooke Hodges, Christine Butler, and Maddie Staples. In the bottom of the 6th, Daisy Sarver tacked on another run for the Lions. A great stand by Natalie Westcott and Bethany Pigg and the Wolves defense closed the game. The Wolves took the victory 3-2. The second game saw a lot of batting action. The Wolves scored a run in the first, and then in the third inning, a sacrifice fly allowed Daisy Sarver to score for the Lions. Later, a single to the left field allowed Leah Grimes to get home. This gave the Lions the lead heading into the fourth. Newberry capitalized on a few errors and scored another 2 runs, retaking the lead. In the fifth, Maya Schulter hit a solo home run to put the score at 5-3. The 6th inning saw the Wolves score another 2 more runs. In the top of the 7th, Maya Schulter hit her second home run, bringing in 2. It wasn't enough as the Wolves defense closed out the game with a 7-5 victory. Paul C. Fisher, NCTV.
And the Wolves win both games in the doubleheader by scores of 3-2 and 7-5. This brings the Wolves to 12-17 on the season and 2-2 in the conference. They went straight from last weekend's doubleheader into a doubleheader against Anderson on Tuesday at Smith Road Complex. We'll have the results for you later on this week. And to be honest, there's a whole lot of things that we're seeing with the softball team, but one of the things that I'm seeing that most excites us is the pitching crew that they have. They're able to have both a mixture of experience and young pitchers with sophomore Lex Gleemaker and senior Lindsey Foster, both of which have done great thus far. Lindsey started in the first game on the weekend, pitched 6 innings, and was only able to give up 1 run that was deserved, the rest coming on errors. As a whole, I really just hope that they kind of keep this energy, keep the momentum rolling into the rest of the season, being able to fend off defenders. On the other side of it, though, something that they're noticing is they're allowing a lot of runs in a lot of different games, meaning that some of the positions, specifically in the infield, still need a little bit of work, need to be kind of looked at by the coach somewhat. But I noticed that they're rotating heavily, rotating a lot of players. They have the young players. They have, I think, 4 players who ended up transferring into Newberry, all of which are underclassmen, just looking for a spot, looking to play. That combination with the stellar pitching crew that they have, I think, is a good combination. It is something that can really kind of take them here into the middle of the season and hopefully someplace in the postseason as they end to kind of wrap up the season. We're far from the end of the season, though, just kind of hitting that middle mark. So I hope that they continue to use the combination of their pitching staff as well as kind of figure out the infield and be able to find their crew, find their roster that they like to see. Wolves Weekly will continue in just a moment. Welcome back to Wolves Weekly. I'm Paul C. Fisher alongside with Alexa Gambarino. Now let's get us updated with all the scores that happened over the week. In baseball, the Wolves on a bit of a skid as of late, as the team has lost 6 out of their last 8 games, losing last week to 16-6 against the Trailblazers of North Greenville University. And then they got swept in a 3-game series over the weekend to Lenore Ryan, dropping the first game on Friday 7-4, and then getting manhandled on Saturday 18-8, and then 11-0. With the losses, the Wolves now sit at 12-11 on the season, and they look to get some revenge over the Trailblazers in a single game this week before hosting Mars Hill in a 3-game series coming this weekend.
In softball, quite the opposite, as the team has won 5 out of their last 7, and after dropping a doubleheader against Carson Newman last week. The Wolves rebounded and swept Mars Hill in a Saturday doubleheader, winning close games by the scores of 3-2 and 7-5. Newberry improves to 12-17 on the season and 2-2 in conference play. The Wolves will look to build on their momentum in their upcoming matchup versus Anderson at home in another doubleheader this week.
Moving on to lacrosse, the 19th ranked men's team opened the South Atlantic Conference play in fine fashion, dominating the Tusculum Pioneers 20-6 on Saturday at Pioneer Field. The Wolves started strong, leading 9-1 at the end of the first period. Then the Wolves outshot the Pioneers 52-30 and 13. The Wolves found back on the net before the clock ran out. Newberry improves to 4-2 overall and will return to action this Wednesday against Emory-Riddle University in Savannah, Georgia.
On the women's side, another lopsided victory for the Wolves, as Newberry extended their winning streak to 3 games with a 19-8 thrashing of the Tusculum Pioneers on Saturday as well. Emma Jobs led the way with 6 goals, while Tristan Burns and Lana Howell each scored a hat trick. The Wolves stayed undefeated in the conference play at 3-0 and sit at 6-1 for the season. Newberry will face Slippery Rock University at home this week.
And finally, in tennis, the Newberry women's team scored a hard-fought win, 4-2 victory over the Tusculum Pioneers this past Saturday, dropping the doubles point but securing the win with their singles matches. And for the men, unfortunately, they were swept 4-0, and although they won one of their doubles matches, they were defeated in all of their singles play. The Wolves will return to action at home again on Saturday against Limestone University. Don't forget that you can find out all of the latest scores, all the latest news, and other information about Newberry College athletics at newberrywolves.com. You can find full season schedules, team rosters, find out about getting official tickets, official merchandise, and so much more. Anytime, anywhere at newberrywolves.com. Now, I want to transition a little bit. I want us to talk a little bit about some of the lacrosse games that we have coming up. Both teams are having a stellar start to the season, the women being ranked first in the conference and the men second in the conference. What do you think is the leading factors into their team play so far, Alexa?
I both think that teams are managing a great defense and a great offense. That's why the scores show how they prevail and how they just score those goals, and they're literally right there, both teams, men's and the women's side. The women's are 6-1 and 3-0 in the conference, which is great for them. We have Emma Jobs, which is a midfielder, and she's doing a great job keeping the ball on the side for the Wolves and obviously making those assistants so they can score those goals.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about that offense, though. The women in particular, they're outscoring their teams by an average of 10 goals a game, something that is kind of incredible. This is the best start to the season they've had so far. But that also kind of goes to show that they're not getting scored on a ton either, are they? Talk a little bit about the defense that you're seeing.
I mean, that means that the defense is very strong. Obviously, their offense is always attacking, but whenever they have to contrast the other team, they do a great job, and we can see it on the score, as you just said.
Completely. I hope that they just kind of continue this momentum. Hope to see both teams in the postseason maybe, but I guess they'll have to play out the rest of the season before we see that, yeah, right?
I hope so too, yeah. And that's all for this edition of Wolves Weekly. I am Alexa Gambarino.
And I'm Paul Fisher. That's all for this time. Join us next week for more Wolves Weekly.